Hey everybody, it's Vanessa, your nomadic bestie. I am here to talk about all things van life. It's another first Friday of the month. So, how is everybody doing today? Where are you coming in from? Put in the chat. We're gonna go for a van ride with our Winnebago. And my mama don't know what I need. And my daddy left me with the keys. I'm sitting shotgun in a six-wheel van. Who's on their way? In a Winnebago or any kind of van. Yeah. Welcome back to another round of Van Life Q&A. It's our monthly Q&A to just answer all those things for people that are just on the fence. They're maybe dreaming about the van life. I have a group called Van Life Dreamers. And you know what? You can dream your way to reality. There's a lot of discipline involved. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of saving. There's a lot of mindset, but it can be done. So I'm here to tell you about that. And today I'm going to focus on five of the questions that my van life consulting clients actually ask. It's a very common theme to ask the same questions over and over. I'm like, oh my gosh. And the questions they're mulling around in their heads, they make it seem like it's this impossible fiat thing to overcome. And then you go over the questions and the answers, and they realize, like, oh my gosh, this is possible. This is totally doable. So, again, it can happen. So, I'm interested to find out where you're coming in from. You can put that in the chat always, where you're coming in from, and where you are in your journey with your van life experience. Is it just something you see the vans on the road and you're like, that van looks pretty cool. Maybe I'd like to do that one day. I'd like to get out into nature. So, what kind of path are you on? Are you just still working the grind, doing the box life thing, waking up in a box, like I like to say, driving to work in a box, your car, sitting in an office in a box, and then opening up your screen, another box, uh, getting back in your car into another box, driving back home, getting settled into your other box, and then maybe even turning on the TV at night and falling asleep in front of that another box. So I heard that on another podcast somewhere. I thought it was genius. This woman, I'm trying to connect with her, but it wasn't my idea, but I call it the box life. I have said that before. And I don't want to live in the box life. Yes, this van is kind of a box, so that could be the box life too. But it's a box life that actually is mobile. It moves around with us. It creates travel and adventure and experiences, connection with other human beings. We're in this whole techie world, and now this uh, AI world is taken over too. So it's nice just to like get off the grid, get out into nature, and connect with other human beings, like around a fireplace. Like, oh my gosh, that's why I call this the fireside chats. So, yeah, so today we're going to talk about a few things that the main questions that people ask me. So, question number one, what are the most important things to consider before embarking on a van or RV lifestyle? What are the most important things to consider? Well, this is always going to be personalized. So, this is just based on my experiences. But for me, the things that were personalized were, and I wish it wasn't kind of the first, but we kept saying, let's just get the kids out of high school, get them graduated onto college, and then we can start our van life experience. And now that we're doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did we not expose our children to this when they were babies? Why did we not go off into the wilderness like this when they were younger? Of course, it was a little hard at that point. I mean, my husband is 22-year-old Marine Corps veteran. We had assignments all over the world, and every 2 to 4 years, we had to uproot the family and move. So for us, it just was not feasible to have a van, move with the van. Like that wasn't going to happen. We went all over the world every few years. So how are we supposed to do that with the van life? What we could have done maybe is taking maybe some more nature type experiences and excursions with our children. Maybe rent a van on a summer vacation here and there for a week or two. They can get pricey, so maybe it would have just been a weekend. Go to travel to state parks and national parks to give them that exposure. I mean, my mom is from Germany, so when we'd go to visit her in Germany when I was younger, when we bring our kids there, there's a lot of nature tied into spending your day going into the forest and picking up trees branches and making sticks and makeshift fires and running around and building stuff and getting creative in the woods. Like that's what we did. So we did have that element, but in terms of the van life with our children, it was hard to do with our lifestyle with the military. But that's something to consider where you are in your season of life. Are the children home? Are you going to be able to move around with them? We've run into people that are now homeschooling their kids in vans, so that happens as well. You want to think about what size van you're looking at, what kind of comfort level you need. I was in the Peace Corps in Africa and my husband Marine, so we can rough it a little more. We're okay with a 24-footer. Some people need, this is a class B. Some people need that class C a little bigger or all the way to the class A, which is like the what do you call them? The tour buses you see on the road, like maybe those musicians that are traveling for concerts, that massive tour bus. Yeah, some people travel like that. So you're going to also have to decide where you're going to be taking this van. Are you going to be more in the city? Or are you going to be getting off grid in the country or off into the boonies? So if you've got a big camper van, it's a lot harder to maneuver, a lot harder to park, a lot harder to find campgrounds. Middle-sized vans, a little easier. And then, of course, the smaller ones like us, we can park in a compact spot. We just back it up over the grass and we're just in line with all the other cars. A lot more easier to boondock, to get off grid, to go over a little more rough terrain with smaller vans. So you're going to have to decide if you want a wet and dry or a wet bath or a dry bath, meaning you want to have like a separate area for your showering and toilet, or if you want it all in one with like an accordion close and a shower hose that just everything does everything in one space. Budget is always a big thing. Like, what are you saving up for? What maybe can you sell or get rid of and let go of in your life right now to create that space to save up for the van? So budget is a big thing as well. So those are a few things, but that would be question number one for what are the most important things to consider for embarking. And of course, if you're doing this alone or with a spouse, it's nice to be on the same page. I mean, I have some couples, they've done our consultant program with us, and both the husband and wife are totally for it 100%. So, yes, much easier to do. I get a lot of people like, well, I would do it, but my wife isn't into it, or I would do it, but my husband's not into it. So, yeah, if you're with a significant other, you got to find that compromise because you're going to be two in a tiny, tiny space. So, you both want to be on the same page with that. Question number two, how to deal with the challenges of living in a small space. So a lot of this has to do with your upbringing. If you grew up in like on a farm or in a mansion somewhere and you're used to having all this space and spreading out, yeah, moving into a small space could be a real adjustment. So yeah, what did your lifestyle look like before? Is this something really that you can downsize to? Because you are going to downsize your living quarters. You're going to downsize a lot of material things in your life, but that's going to also up level and upsize the experiences you're going to have on the road and in nature. So, yes, how to deal with that. For myself, again, personally speaking, I mean, I grew up moving around, so I just have that mindset of just take it as it is, and whatever comes, we'll make the best of it. Positive thinking. I'm a life coach, so some of the training I've done is with literally positive mindset, positive thinking. So, looking at everything as joy in all circumstance, looking at negative things that might become a gift in the end. So, yeah, the small space stuff, I look at it as a gift because who better to spend my quality time with than my spouse, my husband, my best friend, the guy I married 26 something years ago because I liked being in his space. I liked his company. I liked having adventures and creating memories with him. So that space is tight, and we're all human. We are going to have rubbing of the elbows, literally. So, yeah, how do you deal with that challenge? Well, you just think positive, first of all, and you just think about all the good that's going to come out of it as you maybe work on your marriage. I mean, I think there's one YouTube couple out there, like they were on the brink of divorce and they moved to start the van life just really to do their own marriage therapy. So, and I've said that even for years. We ran a boating ministry out of California before the pandemic shut us down overnight. We used to take out injured veterans with PTSD for ocean therapy. And when you're in those small spaces, it's kind of like marriage therapy. You can't run, you can't hide, you got to work through your garbage together. So I actually do recommend it for therapy. Like maybe go see a therapist if you need to, but I would say get in that small space. If you're not going to buy a van, rent one. Rent one for a weekend. I've got tips of places to rent one. You can fly into Cabo, Mexico. I know a resource there. They will pick you up at the airport to get you back to their place, to check in their van, and then off you go to the beaches of Baja, Mexico. And by the way, you can sleep and camp on the beaches of Mexico for free in Baja Peninsula. I mean, on the east side, the west side, it's amazing. So, yeah, I can definitely help you with that if you want to take a leap of faith and do it just for like 5 days a week or something. So, it doesn't have to be, uprooting your life, try it out. They say sometimes, try before you buy. I'm a little more aggressive with my I don't know, leaping into the unknown. So I just jump for it, go for it, make the best of it. But yeah, if you need to move slower, then just rent, try before you buy. So when you have that small space, yeah, I think it just opens up all kinds of opportunities for sharing connection. And when you need a break from each other, if your van is big enough, you can go in the back and sit separately, do some breath work. Prayer is always big. If we're praying together, it's hard to fight together. And that awning behind here, there's an awning that's with the van. And when that rolls out, you've got a whole other outdoor space area. So that's another place that we can build a little barrier separation sometimes if we're just the two of us off grid for, maybe even a week or two at a time. Like in Montana, fishing brookie trout, he might be outside more in nature element, just sitting there under the porch, and I could be inside coaching with my headset on, or cooking, preparing our next meal, something like that. So there's ways to work around it, and don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as a positive, being in a smaller space together. Next question. What are the best ways to find places to park and camp overnight? What are the best ways? Well, first of all, you get very creative when the pandemic hit and everybody went on lockdown around the world. We rented our house out in California. We found this used Sprinter van all within the same like 2 months. So we turned over the keys literally like on May 1st when California said, lock up your house, don't come out, don't breathe fresh air, whatever. And off we went into the sunset. Did we know what we were doing? No. But my website says we'll figure it out. We just drove off and I just started Googling, like start Google searching, where to park, things to do, places to visit, sightseeing. And the more you spend time on the road, the better you get into a groove, how many hours a day you're going to drive, when you want to be settling into the night to rest and to just decompress from the driving and enjoy the sunset and have your happy hour in the van and just cook your way into dinner into the sunset. Just beautiful, beautiful things. But so, yeah, the best way to find these places would be to hire a consultant like me. Like, yeah, there's phone apps. There's lots of phone apps you can download to help with you. There's memberships that you can pay for. So, depending again what your budget is, if you're that type of person that you need to know where you're sleeping at night before you get there and you want to plan your whole route, I mean, in fact, I'm going to have a guest on here hopefully sometime. He plans this entire route with some membership program, and it does mapping and highlighting. It's like this incredible system. Every day you can plan it out how long you're there, and all the campgrounds from one spot to the next, they're all routed out. My husband and I, not so much. We are totally just like bring on the day. We end up where we end up. If we like a spot, we stay longer. If we don't, we move on. And we've just found one magical spot after another. Like it's continuous. Yes, there are a few times we don't plan well enough where it's really late or we need to do some work on an RV or something and we end up in a Walmart parking lot, but that is like the worst resort. And I think people starting camping, they might start with the Walmart, like, well, we can park at Walmart. You don't want to be parking by a freeway in Walmart with people shopping and cars going by, not when you can have this kind of view behind you. So yeah, think about that. But yeah, there's lots of different places to park. There's lots of phone apps. There's communities. The more you camp to, and the more you travel, you could end up going to like a van life expo, and then you'll be a part of WhatsApp groups. And then with that being said, oh my gosh, the information train on that. It's like a gravy train of information. Anything you type in seems like somebody in the group has an answer for something. Somebody's been through it and everybody's there. Like the van life community is so loving and welcoming and open. They just want to help everybody. So there are ways to find these places. So you can definitely reach out to me individually to have a conversation about that more if you're interested. Next question, how do you handle basic needs like cooking, showering, using the bathroom when living in an RV or a van? Very, very popular question. So I would invite you to just start going to van life expos. That's a great way to get infiltrated in the van life and just see what's out there. Google van life RV expo in your town. Um, Go check it out. Walk through those RVs, walk through all the different models, the sizes, talk to the reps. You'll get a wealth of information. I mean, probably more information than your brain can handle at once, but you'll definitely leave with some ideas of where you see yourself fitting in a van. You'll actually fit yourself into that space, sit in the van, move around in the chairs, sit on the bed, check out the toilet area, and that'll help you a lot decide on like, oh, well, no, no, this is way too small. I can't handle this. Or, whoa, this is massive. I'm not gonna be able to drive this on the road. So yeah, I suggest go to some van life expos to start with. That's a great way to get your feet wet, to see what's out there and talk to experienced reps that are there to just showcase all of the new things that come out. And every year it's like new features of the van. It's amazing what they're coming up with. So for cooking, yeah, most of the vans do have a little two stove burner. So lots can be done on that. I was in the Peace Corps in Africa and lived on a two stove burner. Um, Lots of people like to bring their grills along too. So on the back of your van, you can have a grill set up and just pull it off, set it up right there in nature on your awning front porch area and grill it up. So yeah, cooking is not really an issue. And then if you're into the fruits and veggies and eating healthier, you just fill your fridge with that and you're just snacking on fruits and veggies during the day while you're traveling. Maybe a little smoothie machine to make some smoothies. So cooking is definitely not an issue. We actually prefer making our own meals and cooking in nature than to dine out. We're so picky now that when we go to a restaurant, like we have to look at the reviews, we have to see what's out there because there's nothing worse than spending your money. And we're living on a retired budget, military retired. So nothing worse than spending that hard-earned money and being disappointed with a meal. So it takes a lot for us to go out. We might even get a little more dressed up and have like a fine dining experience and say, okay, let's like really enjoy this. We haven't even eaten much fast food since we started the van life. I think we went more through those spots with our kids when they were younger. Oops, very bad. So now it's like, nope, don't want to go through the fast food. We want to actually, we appreciate having the healthier food that we have control of in the van. So there's that on cooking. Showering is it's okay. Like I've met people that they stuff their shower with their clothing and it's just becomes a storage place. And they're literally like with baby wipes. Baby wipes are your best friend. I know this one like Marine Corps couple we met camping somewhere, I think around Glacier National Park. I mean, they were just so fit and total like athletes, and they'd go on runs and they were sweating all that. And they'd come back, make a smoothie, and I'm talking to the wife and she's just like wiping herself down with the baby wipes. And I'm like, is there a shower in your place? She's like, oh no, that's full of storage. We don't use that. So some people just do the baby wipe thing, get used to that. There's outdoor places like in Mexico, we found little watering holes and there were some hot springs. So hello, that's like a fun way to just rinse off. And our van is a dry bath shower. So I actually have like we have a whole door that we can close. We have a hot water heater that we turned on. We let it heat up for maybe 15 minutes or so. And then we can take a warm shower, right there. We do use it for storage too, so it is a process. All my dresses are hanging there and some jackets and towels. So all that has to get moved out. Our cases of water bottles for emergency. So all that has to get moved out when we're showering. So, but yeah, you can be clean and you might go a few more days not showering like than if you were living at home, but that's okay. It's just you and nature with alone or with your significant other. So whatever. Yeah, you don't get too hung up about the showering thing. And then the bathrooms, yeah, there's different versions. There's little attachable casita, I think they're called, or casket cases, cassettes, not casita. Casita is what you're pulling behind the trailer. I think they're called like cassette toilets. So you do your business, you pull it all in, and then it attaches, it unhooks like a little suitcase on a trolley, and you roll that to a dump at a park or wherever you're allowed to dispose of that. So that's one way that some of these smaller vans are set up. But that's still better than going out, in the cold or in nature and being like, oh my gosh, where am I gonna go? So that's a cassette. Ours has like a full flush toilet, and it has a little holding tank with gray water and fresh water. And whenever we pass state parks or we look, again on my handy dandy phone apps, there's actually dump stations marked all across America and I think even Canada. So that's very helpful for as you're traveling, like, oh, we need a dump now. And there's little gadgets on the newer models that show you if you're getting full tank or not. So when you get close to full tank, you find a spot to dump and you start over and you put a little one of those fresh lavender tabs or something down in the toilet to keep it smelling fresh. Now, some people are even more bold and they go for the composting toilet. So you can Google that stuff on YouTube as well. But composting toilets, yeah, it's just that. They're composting. You're putting stuff in there. It's somehow grinding it all up, macerating it, and I don't think you have to go to a dump then. It just like releases it somehow. Maybe they just dump it right into the ground. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But there's a whole thing about composting toilets. We've thought about it for a split second, but the most people we talked to said there is a bit of an odor with that, and we just don't want to have that odor in the van. We've already got the odor of like if we're cooking bacon that morning and then we're going to bed and like that bacon smell still going. We've got two little small dogs we travel with. So we got smelly, hairy dogs, and if they get wet, now we got wet, smelly, hairy dogs. So yeah, all that can affect the quality of the air in your van. So hence, definitely having oils helps. I'm a Melaleuca rep, so have all kinds of sprays and deodorizers that are organic and fresh. So you'll get you'll figure out what you need to keep your van smelling good. And candles. I love candles. When my husband would deploy, like literally he would have conversations with me like, don't buy too many candles. Like that's all he could think of because he comes back and the house is just filled with candles. I buy them all on sale. I'm like having my own little seance. I'm like, is that all you have to complain about? Is that it? Vanessa buys too many candles? Like really? So be happy that's one of my only flaws that he sees. I have a lot, but that's one of them. So yeah, candles. I love lighting a candle in there. A nice like fall type candle that smells so good, like or apple or like a fruit or apple pie or yeah, something like that in the fall I like, or something like linen fresh or wintergreen or something in the winter. Summer, like different candles, I go for different scents. But yeah, that will help, keep your place smelling a little better. And it's in a tiny house. That's what it is. And the last question for today, what are some ways to make money while living on the road? Wow. Well, that's a open-ended question. It's making money is as creative as you want to be. If you're an entrepreneur or if you even work for corporate, there are several jobs out there that people can still work for corporate and big companies and have that digital job, remote job. So we met a lady camping in Baja, Mexico. She works for Wix. She's on the photography side in the back end of Wix, which Wix is, one of the website platforms. So she is working for Wix and moving around in the van with her and her puppy. Yeah, living on the beaches of Baja, Mexico and creating all kinds of adventures for herself. So you can work with a company that does that. I think we met another family. He works and, checks into a company and I think a lot of like computer software type people. If you've got any kind of remote work, you are definitely a candidate for the van life. There's entrepreneurs that are like myself. I'm doing life coaching. There's people doing photography, artists. Just it's endless. But if you've got something you can take on the road that you don't need to be in an office for, then yeah, and you're considering the van life, you might want to look into it a little more. So you can make money on the road. And then I would just suggest having your satellite set up. So, we had a smaller satellite set up first, and it could just basically keep us connected if we went a little off grid. So we could text our kids basically, Mom and Dad are fine. We're going into the woods of Wyoming or mountains of Wyoming now, or the woods of West Virginia or wherever we were. So yeah, that helped a lot and just keeps us a little more in check with family. But we are also doing property management. We rent out our houses when we're not living in them. Hello, supplemental income. So, yeah, we need to keep in touch with tenants. We like to keep our 5-star rating, customer service. So if a tenant is checking in, we got to get them their keyless entry code. If anything goes wrong at the house, we got to be available to respond to that. So we have upgraded now to another satellite type service that we can turn on and off and pause, which is awesome. So if we're not on the road, we don't have to pay for it, which reminds me. we're like a couple months in Florida now, but we're getting ready to head off to Alaska and Canada. So I better make a note for myself to turn that thing on again. And I think as soon as you turn it on, it's instant. So yeah, these are things that we talk about in our van life consulting. You can check on my link, resetwithvanessa.com, and just on the services, go to Nomad Consulting. And I'm happy to have that conversation with you. It'll have some more tips in there, some things I've mentioned here. And let's see about maybe dreaming your way to reality so that you can, what do I call it? Charge your soul, not just your cell phone. So think about all the benefits you have when you're getting out into nature to slow down in a super hectic world. And forest bathing, like literally walking amongst trees. It's a thing. They do it in Japan. And so there's ways to structure your life and set it up to have more vanning experiences, more nature, all of that. But it does take planning, and you can do it all by yourself for sure. You can take your time and figure it out over a few years. But if you want to like 10x it and just get all the nuggets and the shortcuts and just jump into it, and someone who's already done it for a few years, then reach out to me. So I am Vanessa Donaldson. I am a military spouse transitional coach as well, but I am your nomadic bestie. So I'm a text away to help you when you're planning your trip, when you're on the road and stuck. That's the kind of service that I can provide. I can do unlimited text support to say, oh my gosh, this is happening to me right now. I don't know. And I can just help calm you down so you can get on your way with ease and flow. And yeah, get out there into nature and enjoy it and live life out of the box. Get out of that box life and live life with a little more unknown, not fear of the unknown, but embracing the unknown. And that's all I got for now. So have a blessed day, everybody, and you know where to find me. Thank you so much. Bye.